word in the day, she was accomplished to be delivered. It says, and she brought forth her firstborn son, wrapped him in swaddling clothes, laid him in a manger because there was no room in the inn. Now watch this. This is the key verse. And there were in the same country shepherds in the field, keeping watch over their flock by night. Now, for the sake of time, I don't want to lose anybody. I'm just going to tell you this information, and you have to do your due diligence according to the Berean way of life. Go and search and see whether or not those things are so. Prove all things and hold fast to that which is good. So what are you going to tell us, Taylor? I'm going to help you understand that, first of all, lambs as an animal are not born at the times and places and seasons like adults. Upon conception, we can pretty much say 9 months from any point of conception, there will be a child. Lambs do not work the same way. They have a certain period of time of the year that they can actually produce another lamb. And when you look this up and you find that out, that puts it in a certain season. I'm talking about lambs as in the animal right now. But what you need to know is the reason for which the shepherds were out there looking over their flocks at night. The reason the shepherds are going to, number one, look over their flock is because this is the season and the time that they must watch for any new births of any new lambs, because they have to be present to make sure they care for that lamb that's coming from their flock. And there's only a certain period of time of the year that they would be out watching and looking for this particular thing. So verse 8 is your key. And I must stress, I'm not giving y'all everything. Y'all fall asleep on me. I'm giving you enough for you to study. Once you understand that window of a time, you can completely eliminate the winter, because here's what it was. Number one, it's cold. If it was the winter, it's too cold. Not only do lambs not give birth during that time, but these shepherds would not be out in the field with the lamb at that time, and cold as it is. Won't work. The other thing we need to know, and I won't go to the scripture because it'll take me too long, is to know that Elizabeth, who was John the Baptist's mother, was with child, or they had conception of John the Baptist 6 months before Christ was conceived. Keep that in mind. Because what we find out, y'all, is that it had to be during a much warmer time that this took place. So how did we get it confused with December 25th? I'm glad you asked. December 25th has long been a day in history of the world as something happening in the heavens that the whole world knew was going on. Even right down to the point of the story, and listen to me close, of 3 kings. Did y'all hear what I just said? But the Bible didn't say that. The Bible simply points out that there were 3 gifts. So where does the 3 kings come from? I don't have graphics, so now is imagination time. In the cosmos, God put something up there. And if we would acknowledge his creation like we ought to, and pay attention to nature like he told us to, it will be the greatest teacher we have ever had. It's only when we start to mix nature in with our knowledge and think we know better, then we start manipulating things that we can't even foresee the results in. If you don't understand what I'm saying, keep watching, stay tuned, and see what happens with this DNA study, because it's far beyond what we know may be about to happen. It's far beyond things that we are seeing. Y'all don't know what I'm talking about, but let me just tell you this for your research. Anytime you start growing human ears on the back of rats, we got a problem. Y'all think that's crazy? Go look it up. So here's the thing. Shepherds are about in the field keeping watch over their flocks. Why wouldn't it be this day and time? Simple. The weather is a factor. And it tells us when, and we know when they give birth. So how did we miss this simple fact? How can anybody place the date there? Well, there was some confusion about holy days and whether they be of the world or pagan. Why did I start off with what's written up there? Because we finna look to the stars. Why are you looking at the stars? Well, I just read for you in the Bible that it said they saw his... They saw his what? Okay. So we have to look up in order to understand what's going to happen below. Y'all ain't. We got to look up to understand what's happening below. All right. So once you understand that and you get that settled in your spirit, you might wonder even still, so where did God or how are we provided to understand where we go from here? Well, let's go back to what we might have missed in the book of Genesis chapter 1. Because now you know, just by one point, winter doesn't work. So now I'm going to show you what does work and why it works. And then you have to ask yourself, is the enemy using this deception just on a macro level to fool the church? Or what is the enemy also doing in your life through your lack of knowledge to keep you from whatever you ought to be getting at and knowing and moving forward? Is the enemy in your way of knowledge? Is this why you can't grow into maturity? Because the enemy gives you distractions. You'd rather play video games. You'd rather watch football. You'd rather do something else. How about this? You'd rather do more work at work than you do with your spiritual work. That might be some of our case, I don't know. But the Spirit knows whose case that is, so maybe that's why I was led to say it. In Genesis chapter 1 and verse number 14, you're going to find these words. Now, if you ain't tuned in, get tuned in. I want you to listen to what I'm going to tell you. I want you to listen to what I'm not saying. Because then you can fully see this picture. In the very beginning, in the order of the cosmos, the infinite consciousness of the Most High, God, put into an orderly arrangement our very universe. Everything works according to a time schedule, according to a measurement of everything works on the cycle. It all does. I know it does because I'm finna read to you that he said it that way. That's right. How did he set it that way? I don't know how he did it. I just know it was done. Here it is. And God said, let there be lights. Pay attention. In. Lights. In. Not outside. Lights. In the firmament. That's the first thing you need to get. And says, they would heaven to divide the day from the night and let them be for, y'all see it? The lights in the firmament are for signs. Signs give you direction while you're on a journey. Show you some things. Point out to you some things, when to go, when to stop, when to pay attention, yield, watch out for pedestrians. This is what signs do. But God said he put lights in the sky to help with signs. To most of us, we already tuned out because the enemy taught you that it was wrong to look at that sky. Don't get me wrong, you can pervert knowledge, but if you get back to it at its original state, it's true. You already thinking, see, he's going into that astrology future thing. Kind of, not sort of, not the way you know it. I'm going back to the original, the way the Most High put it. So the Most High says, I'm going to say it in first person. I put lights so y'all could know what time it is.
All right now.
Watch this. Verse 15, and let them, he says, and let them be for lights in the firmament of heaven to give light upon the earth. And it was so. 16, and God made, this one is profound, watch this, 2 great lights. The greater light to rule the day. Listen, the lesser light to, did y'all see that light last night? I don't think I ever seen a brighter moon. Listen. Now y'all look at me for real, listen. There's a difference between a light and a material object. Let's read. 2 great lights. He says in verse 15, let the lights be for the firmament of heaven, give light upon the earth. 16, God made the 2 great lights, and the greater light to rule the day, and the lesser light to rule the night. He made stars also. So the great light in the day is not specifically the star. The light at night is not specific, but there are stars, but there's a great light and a lesser light. God didn't call it a rock without gravity, whatever gravity is. But anyway, and God, I heard somebody say, huh? Go tell me what gravity is. And God set them in the firmament of the heaven to give light upon the earth and to rule over the day and over the night and to divide the light from the day and the darkness. And God saw it was what? Good. What was all good? Go all the way back up. God said, let the lights be. And then he says in verse 14, let them be for signs and what, God? For seasons, for days, for that sound like a clock. What he said, God, I will be able to look up at your sky and look at the pattern of things you put above and know what's happening below. Well, God said, see, this sounds real spooky for someone, so I must read it here. He says, day from night, for signs, for seasons, for days, for years, measurements of time, and the signs point you in a... Why did we miss this? Go to Job 38. Go to Job 38. Job 38. And we're going to start at 31. I believe I'm on 31. Job 38. And we're going to start at verse 31. Y'all have it? Let me know when you have it. Say amen when you get there, because I want to make sure we all looking at this one. Those who have it, say amen. Amen. All right. You sure you're ready to read? Because it might blow your mind. Now, God put up the signs and for seasons, so what he put up there has to be significant. Otherwise, I only tell you a time and a season when I need you to be where you're supposed to be. Know what you're supposed to know. Well, then I must create something that will indicate it's time, and you need to pay attention. Here is the appointed time for this significant event. One thing that's very significant might be when God decides to clothe himself in human flesh and come to earth. We call that birth. That might be significant. So I wonder if he put it in the sky. Because he said for times, or for signs, for seasons, and for signs and all these other things to take place, for days and for years. That's a measurement of time. Well, here's a clue. God, y'all remember when Job had a little problem with what God was doing? And it's kind of like maybe some of us subconsciously, or maybe some other knowledge that we have has come back. Maybe our mama said something, our grandma said, and right now you feel a little uncomfortable with where this is going. Well, here's the thing about feeling uncomfortable with where this is going. That's one reason for the deception, because what you're about to find out is like Job was uneasy about what God was doing. God said, come here, let me ask you a few questions. In other words, Job, it's okay for you to study these questions, but I'm demonstrating your lack of knowledge by asking these questions. Are y'all following that? This is Job chapter 38. God went in on Job for a whole 2 chapters or something, y'all. You do not want to have this conversation with God. Let's just listen to what he told Job and accept what he told Job or ask Job rather than us have to finding out the hard way. Y'all understand that? You ever seen your sibling, if you grew up in a household where corporal punishment was a thing, you seen a sibling get thoroughly disciplined, you didn't want none of that. You was like, okay, I get it, mama, dad, I get it. I don't want what they got. Well, you know what? I'm just so foolish to say, I don't want to be one of the foolish Israelites that does not accept what the Most High say and therefore end up on the other side of my blessing. Are y'all in here? Watch God ask Job, can you, I'm going to contemporize it, can you bind or understand the sweet influences of Pleiades? Loose the bands of Orion? What is that? Stars. Pleiades. Orion. Orion is significant. Watch verse 32. This is the answer to why we missed it, y'all. Because somebody has told us they perverted look, all right, let me say it this way. God gave us truth. The enemy came in, took the truth, took 1% out of the truth, added 1% lie to it. Now we think the whole thing is a lie. Rather than going through the whole thing saying 99% of this is true, that's a lie, kick out the lie and go find the 1% that's in here, put that in and have 100% truth. But you got to work to do that. But when the enemy makes you lazy and keeps you distracted by your job, your work, or whatever else, and you ain't thinking positive and you ain't trying to go over here and learn what the Most High gave you, when you are distracted, you will never learn. So you will accept the 99 with the 1% lie, and when you hear 100% truth, you say it's a lie. Why? Because it doesn't look like you're 99 and 1, when in fact it is the whole, and you can't recognize the whole because you got just a little bit of lie. What's a lie? Somebody told you to stop looking at the stars, because what they did is they took the stars and they perverted it. They took it and changed it and started interpreting personal future and personal things, and Most High didn't put it up there for that. He put it up there. It does tell us things. It does give us signs, but it points you. And when you get there, you pay attention. But we can't even get there. It's because the map and the time, this is why we ain't on time with God. Because somebody told us it was wrong to look at his clock. What you saying, Taylor? I'm saying we more into a Rolex than the celestial clock. I'm saying we want to Invicta more than we want to understand. Okay? This original time clock, the most precise method of telling time ever. And it sure enough tell us when the Most High or when the Messiah would get here. He says in verse 32, listen. Canst thou bring forth Mazzaroth? Most of it, we don't even know what that is. What is that? And why is he asking Job, can he bring it forth? Bring it forth means understanding of the thing you're bringing. You understand it, you can communicate it, you can talk about what it is, and you can help somebody apply that knowledge. He's asking Job, can you bring forth the zodiac? But I tell you, don't say that. Look up Mazzaroth and go find out what it means. He asked Job, now if you're saying it's too spooky, I don't get it. It's only spooky because somebody lied to you and told you what you already had as truth was a lie, and you took the lie and you threw away your truth. Now that you're being presented with the truth, you're rejecting the truth as a lie and never realizing This is the tragedy of somebody doing what the Spirit said in 1 Timothy chapter 3, I believe it is, or 2 Timothy chapter 3. And it talks about the Spirit speaking expressly that some shall depart in the latter days, having their conscience seared. When you got your conscience seared, that means you got your mind made up. You don't care that 2 plus 2 is 4. If you done made your mind up that it's 5, I can't convince you. That's fine. But I promise you in the last day, you're going to be lost and I'm going to find where I need to go. Because I'm paying attention to the map that he built, not the one that man built for you. So you have to understand that the Mazzaroth is neither sinful unless you use something God gave you for a sinful purpose. And I know we can do that. And if you say that you can't, then I need to look no further than your body, because all of us have sinned against the body. So he says, the Mazzaroth. Watch what he says about the Mazzaroth. Can you bring forth the Mazzaroth in his season? Season is time. He says, canst thou guide archers with his sons? That's another constellation, an ancient name of the let me just keep going because I'm running out of time. Watch this. He says, knowest thou the ordinances of heaven? Hold it. Here is God asking Job, do you understand what's going on above? If it is a sin to understand what the Most High made and what's going on above, then pray tell me, why is he asking Job, does he understand it? If it was wrong for him to study and understand it, God wouldn't be asking him if he knew it. It was for him to study and understand, because by understanding nature, understanding the Necharu, understanding that, guess what happens? You understand the Creator much better. One way to know something about Leonardo da Vinci is to study his art. And you will find out some things. You might even find out who the Mona Lisa really is. You might find out that the Mona Lisa is a fictional woman and Leonardo da Vinci was painting himself if himself looked like a woman. Go look it up. That's what you might find out. So the thing is, I know something about Leonardo da Vinci now. Why? From the product he produced. So if I'm looking at the Most High, I need to know something about him by looking at the product he produced. He produced the stars. I need to look at the stars. He made the sky. I need to look at the sky. He made the earth. I need to look at the earth. He made the animals. I need to study them. He teaches me how not to be lazy by watching something simple as an ant in preparation for the winter. Here's our preparation, because there is an attack on all knowledge. The winter is coming, and I ain't talking about temperature. He says, canst thou lift up the voice to the clouds, that the abundance of water may cover thee? Can you send lightnings, that they may go and say unto thee, here we are? He elevates it. He says, can you understand what you should understand? Now let me tell you this, Job. I'm asking these questions because indeed I understand it, because I made it. Now I'm going to take it to another level. I'm going to take it to something you can't do. Can you send lightning? You done seen lightning. You know it exists. Did you do that, Job? No, you did not. So how does man, listen, how does man get to demonize the creation of God and they didn't make it? I'd rather listen to the maker and what he said Orion is for, rather than what man says is for. And if he doesn't give me anything further than to understand how Orion tracks across the sky so that I can understand times, y'all go ahead and turn to Revelation 12 and we're finna close this thing down. Y'all go ahead over there. If he has given me that so I can understand the times, then I must be diligent in my studies, because he considers this as important. Now, as we get close to the close here, remember, we know he was not born in the winter. We just know he was born. We know that the shepherds were looking out for births, or they were there tending to their flocks at night. This is not a cold night. This is something more of a warmer night, the warmer season. Now that you can understand that much, I'm going to show you what God said in the beginning in Genesis chapter 1 and verse number 14 through about 16. For times and for seasons, I'm going to show you that the Bible has a clock. It gives us a certain constellation pattern in the sky for when he was born. And if you know that, then you can know a date or a probable date. The whole point of this is not for you to go and change a date and you start your new family tradition on that date. That's not my goal. My goal is for you to have the knowledge. And when you know, now you can act. Now you can teach. And now you can change. Now you can elevate. And now you can know what the Most High really gave you and not what man perverted. Because I promise you, this is so surface right now. I just ain't got time. But watch this. Remember, he gave the stars for times, for seasons. Most Christian scholars, if you want a scholar to look up, you can look up Dr. Michael Heiser. He's one of the foremost scholars on this topic and done a great job. But most scholars miss this because we have ignored what the Most High gave us for time and for season. The whole reason we're confused about the date is because we did not use God's clock. Why didn't we use it? I know I'm repeating. We're using a different clock because we were told, Orion, what you doing looking at them stars? That's sin. What you doing looking up there? That's sin. God ain't with that. I just read what God said. He put it there. And if we use it correctly, y'all hear what I'm saying? Don't leave out of here saying nothing I didn't say. If you use it correctly. Y'all really ready for this? Because this gonna blow your mind. It blew mine. Maybe it's not important to you. Revelation chapter is 12, verse number 1. What are we studying? We are looking for the time, the season, the day, the year even. When did he come to earth? He wasn't there on December 25th, or not the one they talking about. But he was there on a date we all know for a whole different reason. He says in Revelation 12, y'all follow me because I'm about to close. And there appeared a great wonder. Where? Okay. We're looking at the heaven for this great wonder. Now, Revelation is shied away from because the thing about it is hard to interpret. The reason this passage is hard to interpret because the key you need to interpret it has been taught as evil. That's why you missed it. This one is easy when you have the key. He says, and it appeared in heaven a great wonder. Listen, a woman. Somebody underline a woman. Underline that. A woman. A woman. A woman. A woman. And this woman, it says a woman, and it says clothed with the sun. Clothed with the sun. Underline clothed with the sun. Got that? Then it says, and the moon under her feet. Get that? Moon under her feet. Already we looking at the heaven and we got the moon, so we already know we doing what? Are we looking down? No, we're looking up. Then he says, and upon her head a crown of 12 stars. Is 12 significant? Yes. Do I have the time to go into it? No. Except to say that this woman represents the whole house of Israel. She got 12 stars, and 12 stars, each one of them represents a tribe of Israel. And she being... Huh? With child, cried, travailing in birth, and pain to be delivered. I'm going to read it all first and I'll come back. And there appeared another one in heaven, and behold, a great red dragon having 7 heads and 10 horns and the 7 crowns on his head. And his tail drew a third part of the skies from heaven and did cast them to the earth. And the dragon stood before the woman, which was ready to be delivered. She's going to give birth. for it to devour the child that was soon born. Verse 5. And she brought forth a man child who was to what? So here's what I know. This is a Masonic thing. A Messianic thing. This Messianic thing is that she is talking about, or John rather is talking about the woman giving birth to the Messiah. I know this because he said this person is to what? Rule all nations with a rod of iron. And her child was caught up unto God and unto his throne. Let's go back. Wait. What did we get here? A woman clothed with the sun. What did y'all just witness? In what's called the ecliptic. In the ecliptic, there are 12 well-known patterns of stars. Orion, that God is one of them. And then there are some others called by different names in ancient names, but the same thing. That's there. Why is it there? God put it there. That's it. What do it mean? I'm just going to say what God said it mean. I ain't going into your personal thing. I'm not saying it mean, but what God says it means, it means. So what happens? 12. One in this 12 is a woman. She's called Virgo. She's called the Virgin. And then, here's your language. Listen. Clothed with the sun. Any constellation that is present as the sun would rise on a certain area of the horizon, it is said that that constellation at the time is clothed with the sun. They all at some point are clothed with the sun, but only on a specific time of year is Virgo clothed with the sun. Now guess what? Already I've given you enough to narrow this down to where this is. Some of y'all out there already saying, Jesus was a Virgo. Listen. Irrelevant. The point is, listen. The Bible says she's clothed with the sun, so I know that we're speaking of a time where the constellation Virgo would be clothed with the sun. But it says something else. And we can't even go into the crown thing except to show you this. So I already told you about the crown. There are 3. Guess what's above her head that's not mentioned here but does happen at this period in time? The constellation above her head is Leo. Some of y'all know Leo is the lion. What is the lion? That's the tribe of Judah. The book of Revelation says that, behold, the lion of the tribe of Judah has prevailed, so he may be able to open the stone. So who are we talking about? We're talking about the Most High that's going to come through his mother, who is the Virgin, who is the Virgo. She is clothed with the sun at this particular time. Now watch this. That happens a lot. Every year, Virgo gets clothed with the sun. However, this other stuff only happens, listen to me close, within an 80-minute window. At certain times, it don't happen a lot. Woman, clothed with the sun, stars on the